Part 52. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 513. Commander, today's emails are all here. I'll put them away for you. In the morning, Hai Tian came over on time and took up the post of secretaryship. Since he had done his homework in advance yesterday, everything seemed in order today, which made Qin Ji feel a lot more comfortable. But not long after I started working, there was a knock on the door. Of course, Qin Ji didn't raise her head and was still working, because Hai Tian was in the office and she could handle these things. Just as Qin Ji thought, Hai Tian walked over and opened the door, but the two people standing outside the door made Hai Tian very surprised. Miss Bismarck and Emperor Frederick the Great? Hello, Hai Tian greeted the two. Facing these two iron-blooded people, Hai Tian felt a pressure on herself as she stood there, but she still maintained a normal expression. Well, Miss Haitian, is the commander in there now? Bismarck nodded and asked. Yes, the commander is currently processing the mail. Is there anything urgent that Miss Bismarck has to do? Hai Tian asked. Yes, these things have to be said to the commander, so it's troublesome, Bismarck said. Okay, please come in. Hai Tian walked into the office with Bismarck and Frederick the Great. As soon as they entered the office, they saw Qin Ji sitting at the desk working. At this time, Qin Ji raised his head and looked at Bismarck and Frederick the Great in front of him with slight surprise. Bismarck, Frederick the Great, good morning. Are you here for a visit? Although he was surprised, Qin Ji was not stingy when it came time to say hello. Good morning, my child, Frederick the Great said to Qin Ji with a smile. However, Bismarck on the side said straight to the point, Commander, the reason for coming here today is because of the plan we talked about on the ship before. Now Frederick has summoned it, so from now on we should organize our entire fleet. Qin Ji didn't think much about it. Regulate the fleet? In fact, I've been thinking about it these past few days, but I feel like I have no clue for the time being. Do you have any good suggestions? Frederick has more experience in domestic affairs than I do, so I brought her here specially today, Bismarck said. Oh, Qin Ji looked at Frederick the Great in surprise. Emperor Frederick, do you have any suggestions? Of course, my child. Frederick the Great's dark golden pupils were shining with a different kind of light, and he said to Qin Ji, my child, do you feel that you have to think a lot every day, about the planning of the fleet, about the future of the fleet? Even how to get along with the 9 major camps in the future, and how to move forward with the commanders who follow you. How will he face the sirens who are much stronger than him now? What will be considered victory? How can you achieve your goal? And even when dealing with fleet girls every day, you have to think carefully and don't want to be indifferent to any camp, right? Qin Ji was stunned for a moment, looking at the way Frederick the Great looked directly at him. He couldn't help but nodded. You are right, we are not strong right now, so we have a lot to consider. That's wrong, my son, Frederick the Great said, shaking his head. Huh? Qin Ji asked doubtfully, why? Frederick the Great smiled and said, perhaps my son is very good in terms of tactics and strategy, but he is still lacking in leadership. Just like the difference between a general and an emperor, although my child you are a very good general, now you are not a qualified emperor. I have never thought about being an emperor, Qin Ji said to Frederick the Great. I just want to go on with everyone, and I don't want to dominate one side. So, you are wrong in your original thinking. In fact, our fleet is already very powerful, Emperor Frederick said to Qin Ji. It's just that my son, you have not fully demonstrated the strength of our fleet. It's just about strength, and the reason why the commanders of the large fleets are making such slow progress is also because of your decision-making problems. So, let me ask you here, are you willing to let our fleet show its strongest strength? Are you willing to let the whole world revolve around us? Are you willing to become the king of this world? Qin Ji looked at Frederick the Great, who was still smiling in front of him, stood up slowly, walked to the windowsill, looked at the ship girls who were still training in the distance, took a deep breath, and then asked softly, "Can I?" The smile on Frederick the Great's face became even brighter, and then he slowly walked to Qin Ji, opened his arms and held Qin Ji in his arms. "My child, no matter what you want, I can help you get it." Qin Ji's body was a little nervous due to the sudden hug, but when he heard Frederick the Great's devilish whisper, he gradually relaxed. Turning around, facing Frederick the Great, who was taller than him, he said, "What should I do?" "Haha, my child, don't be anxious," Frederick the Great said to Qin Ji. "If you want to achieve a complete victory, you must maintain absolute rationality. In the same way, the same is true when dealing with fleet issues. If you want this fleet to exert its maximum strength, you must maintain your rationality and never let all your previous efforts be wasted because of emotions." "I understand," Qin Ji nodded. "Then let's count the available people in the fleet first, shall we?" Frederick the Great said. "Anyone available?" Qin Ji was a little confused. "That's right, since you want to be the king of this world, you must take care of the future of the fleet. The one who reigns in is the general, and the one who sees the cliff and can't reign in is the king. The king must be good at employing people and does not need to do everything personally. I believe that, my son, if you are familiar with the history of Dong Huang, you must have heard of these things," said Frederick the Great. "I understand," Qin Ji nodded. "Indeed, in the history of Dong Huang, every prosperous era was created by emperors who were good at using people. For example, Emperor Qin, Emperor Wu of Han, and Emperor Tang and Song. The talents under their command were like crucian carp crossing the river. My child, what you have now is something that the 9 major camps cannot have. Now, except for Dong Huang and a few camps, all their senior leaders are ship girls from their own camp. Even if you want to use ship girls from other camps, you still have to worry about whether there is betrayal by ship girls from other camps, or the emotions within your own camp. These factors will not exist in our fleet, because even though there are different camps, we only serve you. So as long as you exist here, there will be no such contradiction in our fleet as theirs," Frederick the Great said slowly. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 514. "This is the prerequisite for everything, this is the basis of everything," said Frederick the Great. "So for you who have several camp leaders, you have to let their abilities play out. Think about it, each of them can lead a camp on their own, but now that they are gathered under your command, how can they make a fleet unable to function?" Qin Ji looked at Bismarck on the side and nodded. "Does that mean some of my ideas essentially suppress their power?" "Haha, as expected of my child, the reaction is really fast." Frederick the Great smiled. "You have a simple mind and a strong sense of responsibility, but it is also this simple mind and sense of responsibility that suppresses their ability. We ship girls are not just the incarnation of battleships, so force is only one of our strengths, not all of us." Qin Ji nodded. "If the ship girl only had force, the current situation of the 9 camps would not be possible. Then, try to leave things to them to complete. What you need to be is a person who coordinates the overall situation, rather than someone who rushes forward in everything." Frederick the Great smiled. "But how should we arrange it?" Qin Ji asked. "My son, do you believe me?" asked Frederick the Great. "Of course I believe it, you are my ship girl, how could I not believe you?" Qin Ji said. "In that case, my son, in your name, let's hold a meeting of port leaders. Let's gather the strengths of everyone and thoroughly figure out the path our fleet will take in the future," Frederick the Great said. "Okay," Qin Ji naturally agreed. After all, he had thought about such a thing before, and now with the help of Frederick the Great, it would be a great help to him. At this time, Emperor Frederick saw that Qin Ji had agreed, so he turned his head and looked at Hai Tian aside. "Good boy, could you please inform the leaders of the major camps?" "I believe, my boy, you heard what I just said." Looking at Frederick the Great's eyes that exuded dark golden light, Hai Tian nodded involuntarily. He immediately picked up the communicator on the side and began to contact other leaders of the fleet. Bismarck said to Frederick the Great and Qin Ji, "Then let's go to the conference room now. I believe they will be here soon." The two nodded in agreement, and the three of them walked towards the conference room downstairs. Sure enough, within a short while, the leaders of several other camps arrived one after another. However, when several people saw Bismarck sitting next to Qin Ji and Frederick the Great standing behind Qin Ji, they couldn't help but frown. But obviously these two people didn't care about this at all until the last leader arrived. Frederick the Great looked at the ship girl sitting at the conference table and spoke. "Welcome everyone to attend today's gathering. Today is a very historic day for our fleet. Because starting from today, our fleet will undergo reforms." "Reform? Frederick the Great, what do you mean?" the monarch said. Upon hearing the monarch's inquiry, Frederick the Great blinked slightly, and then said, "You are all leaders of various camps, I believe you can understand what I mean. I know that you love and care for my child, but when he takes the position of commander, what he needs is growth and experience, not your love and care. So what do you Iron Bloods plan to do? Are you going to seize power after deposing the commander? If this is the case, then our royal family will be the first to object," the monarch said unceremoniously. "Seize power," Frederick the Great suddenly laughed. "If I seize power, will I call you here? Or will I seize power in front of you just to show my strength? And, this is my child, and I will take whatever he wants and put it in front of him. How could I have the heart to take even half of something from his hand? It's just that he was too tired and it was completely beyond what a commander should do. But in order to make him happy, you, the leaders of the camp, ignored him and let him do whatever he wanted. Aren't you wrong?" This. In an instant, all the camp leaders were speechless. Seeing this scene, Frederick the Great stopped talking, and Qin Ji on the side also opened his mouth in embarrassment, but did not say a word. "So what are you iron-blooded going to do?" Veneto asked. "My child is the most special one in this world. Not only does he have ship girls from different camps, but he also has you. And our potential is endless. We are no weaker than any other camp. Therefore, I am ready to let my child be the king of this world and let our fleet be the force leading the world." Emperor Frederick said word for word. The tone was sonorous and powerful, and anyone could feel the power in these words. "Do you know how much you will sacrifice if you do this?" Nagato couldn't help but ask. "This is a war, not a game. Even without us, the world is still full of sacrifices. Do we have to stop because someone has to sacrifice?" said Frederick the Great. "Moreover, it's not what we, the Iron Bloods, want to do, but what we want to do with this fleet. I hope that in the future, you will put our fleet first, not the camp you belong to." When Frederick the Great finished these words, everyone present knew that what the man in front of him was saying was not a joke. And judging from Qin Ji's reaction, it seemed that he had approved what Frederick the Great said. "So what are the next steps? Do you have any detailed plans?" the company asked. "Of course, since today's meeting has been prepared, there must be detailed planning," Frederick the Great said. "First of all, disband the 8 fleets that were previously formed. Such a blind attack will only increase our logistical consumption burden. Even though our fleet has the strength to avoid these burdens, such a blind attack is stupid. Next, set up a commissioning group. Our fleet has basically not made much achievements in this aspect before, but we must pay attention to the supplement and improvement in this aspect in the future. Delegation can bring us resources. Since we are going to take this path, we must have sufficient reserves of resources. Our current resources are far from enough. If the 9 major camps turn against us, then we will directly fall into the embarrassing situation of having no resources available, so while entrusting resources, We must establish our own scientific research system. We must be able to produce oil by ourselves, be able to independently complete scientific research equipment, and even be able to break through technological barriers. In addition, an attack team was established, and an elite team of 6 was established based on the completion of the collection of combat data for the 5 scientific mind cubes. Then perform a rotation to ensure the efficiency of combat data collection. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 515. In addition, with the current strength of our fleet, we can go to the front line, and there is no problem even in the front line, but why can't we go to the front line now? Don't you know this reason? Frederick the Great looked at everyone said. Qin Ji was stunned for a moment, then raised his hand in embarrassment. This may be my reason. Haha, my child, as long as he knows his mistakes, he is a good child. As long as he knows his mistakes and can correct them, he is a good child. Frederick the Great smiled, then raised his head and looked at others, including Bismarck. So, my child, why don't you correct him when he makes a mistake? Is this how the commander of a large fleet works? What is the difference between such a grand fleet commander and a lone wolf? Is it right to develop only for yourself and abandon your companions? Therefore, the above are areas that we urgently need to reform. If this continues, there will be serious consequences waiting for our fleet. For my child and his wish, I will use any means to make my child the king and our fleet to be the pioneer of this world. Everyone, do you understand? Everyone here is smart. How come you, the leader of a camp, don't know this? But if we do this, the commander's wishes. Enterprise looked at Qin Ji and said. Qin Ji touched his nose in embarrassment. No one is a saint, how can I make mistakes? As a commander, I will naturally make mistakes. In fact, if it weren't for what Frederick the Great said today, I wouldn't have known. I actually discovered it. Such a serious mistake. Listening to Qin Ji's somewhat disappointed tone, Veneto shook his head. Commander is wrong about this. Although he did make some mistakes before, those mistakes can be made up for, and the previous policy and route are different from the current policy of Philip. What Terry said was completely different. And it is also because of Commander's previous development that we have the possibility to reform the fleet now, so don't lose confidence in yourself. Yes, Comrade Commander, being able to be liked by everyone in the fleet is a very remarkable achievement. So there is no need to feel sorry for yourself at this time. Since you have made up your mind to reform, I will definitely support you, Soviet Rosia said. Seeing this situation, Frederick the Great nodded. It seems that you have understood the problems our fleet is currently encountering, so the next step is for us to coordinate reforms. But this time, all my children need to do is to judge from the sidelines, and we will handle the rest of the agenda. The king should be responsible for ruling, not making suggestions. Understood, everyone nodded. As for the large fleet, who among you will be in charge? We must allow them to catch up with us quickly, and we will send out fully trained ship girls or ship girls who are about to reach full training degree to perform tasks with them. Or bring them into the 4th level C area to perform tasks, let them grow rapidly, and open up our supplies and Rubik's Cube for the public use of the large fleet to increase the number of their ship girls. And they must be managed accordingly so that they depend on our fleet, obey our commands, and be loyal to us in the future. Said Frederick the Great. I can take part in this aspect, Bismarck responded quickly. I can do that too, Soviet Rosia said. Then it will be up to you two to be responsible for raising the training levels of the remaining members of the fleet as much as possible within a short period of time. Emperor Frederick nodded, and then looked at Qin Ji. My child, what do you think of this? Qin Ji nodded. I have no problem opening up our supplies and Rubik's Cube. But at present, the fleet mainly focuses on patrolling the sea areas and entrusting them. If this is the case, then we must send our people to take over patrolling the sea areas. Matter. This is inevitable, so the next step is to patrol the sea area. Frederick the Great looked at the others again. Who among you will be responsible for patrolling the sea area in the future? I'm in charge, the company said to Frederick the Great. Should I deploy the ship girls in the port area, or can I only deploy the White Eagles? All free ship girls in the port area, except those who are doing tasks and commissions, including free ship girls, are all deployed by you, Frederick the Great said, and after arranging the patrol team, get the team list. I believe this kind of thing shouldn't be difficult for you, right? No problem, Enterprise nodded. Very good, Frederick the Great smiled, and then looked at the Monarch. The Monarch and Veneto, the two of you are responsible for entrusting the formation. This formation will try to give priority to ship girls with low levels of training, and to destroyers and light cruisers have the highest priority. Delegation is the top priority of our entire plan and reform, and I hope you two can take responsibility. No problem, the Monarch and Veneto nodded. As for Richelieu and Genhai, you are responsible. The meeting continued. Qin Ji opened his mouth in surprise on one side, and Frederick the Great on the other side made every detail and arrangement clear. But what shocked him was not this, but that after his shipmates were arranged, they all agreed, which meant that they could complete the arrangements of Frederick the Great. Qin Ji felt a little speechless when he thought of the problems that he had to think about for a long time before he could solve them, or the wrong problems. It turns out that my own ship girl is so powerful. It turns out that an entire fleet can be operated like this. Not only can it ensure that in terms of training, low-level ship girls can have a loose space for growth, and they will not be lagging behind in the materials obtained from sorties. And by doing this, the strength of the entire fleet can be improved. Indeed, as Bismarck said, Frederick the Great was indeed more suitable for domestic affairs and diplomacy than she was. Wait until all the camp leaders receive their tasks and go to arrange the completion. Qin Ji finally reacted. That's it? Then what should I do? Frederick the Great smiled and touched Qin Ji's hair. My child, you just need to make a decision, do what a leader should do, and learn to trust them. Okay, Qin Ji opened his mouth and said. Frederick the Great's reforms made Qin Ji feel a lot more relaxed for a moment, but some things remained unchanged. That is, he is always the leader of this fleet and the final decision-maker of this fleet. So perhaps, as I said to Bismarck before, my time to attack may become rare in the future. All he needs to do is wait in the command room for news to arrive one by one. In other words, this can also free up your time to do some things you like to do. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 516. Do you understand the above? Soviet Rosia said to the commanders. I want to confirm again. Wu Hao raised his hand and said to Soviet Rosia, you are saying that the commander is going to publicize everyone's resources to maximize the number of ship girls and combat power of our fleet. And you will send full-level ship girls here to attack level 4 waters with us ship girls to improve their training while ensuring our safety? The patrol and defense tasks in the port area will be taken over by your fleet. Soviet Rosia nodded. I believe you have seen the strength of our fleet before, because our strength is actually more than enough to go to the front line, but the reason why we can't go to the front line for so long is because of the commander. Comrades are waiting for you. Previously, the commander did not want to interfere with the growth of you and your ship girls, and only played a certain guiding role. However, this was also an oversight on the part of the commander and our fleet. Because Comrade Commander is the most special one, you cannot be judged by his ability. Therefore, we have decided that we will intervene to improve the strength of your fleet. We will provide you with sufficient material resources, as well as adequate security guarantees, as well as tactical guarantees after entering the sea battle. But will the commander suffer a lot by doing this? Li Chenming said to Soviet Rosia. After all, as the deputy commander of the Xinhai fleet, he clearly knew what kind of resources Qin Ji had. If these resources were made public, it would not be one or two. When the commander made this decision, he had already thought of this, because only the benefits generated by the rapid growth of our fleet can be greater. If you just look at the immediate and ignore the long-term benefits, then it will not be good for anyone. Good, said Bismarck. In this case, I have no problem. And how much supplies I consume today will be doubled tomorrow, and I will definitely not hold back. The commander, as one of the original veterans, Zhang Xiaotian, quickly made the decision decide. The rest of the people also responded one after another. For such a long time, they have regarded Qin Ji as their banner to move forward. Now when they encounter this kind of thing, they are just a little confused, but after knowing the truth, they will have no hesitation. Very good, you will be proud of your decision today, and you will also become the commander in the world, second only to Comrade Commander. Soviet Rosia nodded. Everything went very smoothly, whether it was the handling of matters in the Grand Fleet or the response within the fleet, it was all executed very smoothly. However, sometimes the smooth implementation does not mean that there are no other voices. But in the gentle voice of Frederick the Great, this voice quickly disappeared. Even the two people from the Chongying camp did not speak out during this fleet reform. And not speaking out represented acquiescence, so that Frederick the Great's reforms were implemented even faster. Moreover, the details of the entire fleet's resource planning, consumption, income, etc. are very clear. However, since the Chinese New Year was about to begin, apart from the commanders of other large fleets, the ship girls of this fleet did not attack. Now they are generally active in commission tasks and cleaning up the sea area. This effect is very obvious. With the sea area exploration device, basically wherever the Siren fleet appears, the company responsible for this area will quickly send people to annihilate it, so the sea area near the port area can basically guarantee that there are 0 sirens. Qin Ji, on the other hand, stays in the office every day, processing documents sent from different places, and clearly knows what happens in the station every day. And when the commissioning team came back, Qin Ji went back to the port to greet them, and this move also made the commissioning atmosphere better. At this time, Qin Ji put down the letter in his hand and looked up at Hai Tian, who was reading a book not far away. Haitian, what time is it now? Qin Ji asked. Report to Commander, it's now past 10 noon, Hai Tian said to Qin Ji. Huh? Is it only 10 o'clock? Qin Ji scratched his head and said, it feels like there is less and less work in the past 2 days. Hai Tian smiled slightly, isn't this great? Now that the fleet has undergone reforms, the commander can be completely liberated. Everyone performs their duties, whether it is entrustment or the convenience of sea patrols, everything is now done very good. And everyone else in the Grand Fleet has also gone out for training, and everything is moving towards a better place. Qin Ji nodded and smiled helplessly. I always feel a little uncomfortable. I used to feel that I didn't have enough time. I could only take some time off when I came back. But now I suddenly found that I don't need to take too long to attack. And every day becomes leisurely. Hai Tian pursed his lips with his hands and smiled. Actually, I think what Frederick the Great said before is quite right. There was something wrong with our previous fleet model, because every time we came back we were very idle, but the commander was still busy all the time. And the commander was even busier while we were busy. Now that the roles are reversed, I think it looks like a normal fleet. But I always feel like I'm sorry for you. You are all girls. You are so busy every day, but you let me, a grown man, rest here. Qin Ji said, slightly embarrassed. Haha, Commander, did you make a mistake? Hai Tian smiled. We are ships first, and girls second, so don't reverse the order. And you are not allowed to have such macho ideas. The fleet is not only the commander's fleet, but also our fleet. If everything is left to you, we will be the ones who are sad. If Commander is really a little bored now that work is over, why don't we discuss poetry together? Listening to what Hai Tian said, Qin Ji could only nod. Since there is really nothing to do now, it would be better to have a good chat. But, is it almost the spring festival? Qin Ji said to Hai Tian, should you prepare the spring festival couplets this year, or Zhenhai? I thought of this, and then Zhenhai wrote it. It's a pity that Yang Rui was not here, otherwise her calligraphy would be very good, Hai Tian said to Qin Ji. Yang Rui, Qin Ji smiled, speaking of this, I always think of Zaya saying that she is Yang Rui's sister every time we meet people. Although Yang Rui has not come to our port area yet, I'm afraid our port everyone in the district knows about Yang Rui, right? Haha, yes, that sister Zaya did a very hard job, Hai Tian said with a smile. Having said this, Qin Ji thought for a while and asked, so what kind of person is your sister Heike? She is the complete opposite of me. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 517. Just when Qin Ji and Hai Tian were chatting happily, there was a knock on the door. Hai Tian gave Qin Ji an apologetic look, then went to open the door and saw Frederick the Great standing outside the door. Hello, Frederick the Great, Hai Tian smiled. Hello, child, is my child in there? Asked Frederick the Great. Although this sentence was very convoluted, Hai Tian knew that what Frederick the Great was looking for was Qin Ji. So he nodded, Commander is inside, please come in, Frederick the Great. Frederick the Great smiled and nodded, then walked into the office and saw Qin Ji looking towards the door. Haha, my child, how do you feel these 2 days? Frederick the Great said with a smile. Qin Ji smiled awkwardly, it feels good to see everything moving forward steadily in the direction of reform, but I'm just a little too idle. Frederick the Great smiled and said, isn't this good? It not only liberates ourselves, but also puts the entire fleet in a very good condition. Isn't this the purpose of our reform? And now my child, you are in this situation, just because the reform time is relatively short, and you have not adapted to the previous rhythm. After a while, you will be able to adapt to this kind of life, that then you won't feel bored anymore. Qin Ji nodded, yes, I will adapt as soon as possible, but today Frederick the Great, you are not here to see how I am, right? What's the matter? There are indeed some things, Frederick the Great said. Currently, everything in our fleet is in normal operation, and this period is relatively stable. So I came here to suggest that my children can take advantage of this period to summon more ship girls to expand the size of our fleet again. Later, when we go to the front line, we don't have to be controlled by others. Instead, we can create our own port area and front line. Create a front line yourself. Qin Ji looked at Frederick the Great with a smile on his face in surprise. Yes, Frederick the Great immediately walked to the sea chart on the side, pointed to a sea area along the Pacific Ocean and said, the coastline near Donghuang is basically a second-level erosion level sea area, and pushing out a little further is to the third-level sea area. The Ryu Island we are located in is between the second-level sea area and the third-level sea area. To the east of the Ryu Island is the third-level sea area, and to the west is the second-level sea area. Donghuang's current frontline headquarters is located in Ryukyu, while Shigisakura's current front line is located in the Izu Islands. Donghuang also has a frontline station on Zhenma Island, but the sirens there are not as strong as those in the Pacific. And if we are crowded together with them, the resources will definitely not be allocated enough, and we will not be able to take advantage of our awakened ship girls, so I think there is a place in the Pacific that is more suitable for us, and we can form the front line here. As Frederick the Great said, he placed his finger on a location on the map. When he saw this location, Qin Ji immediately shouted, Guam. Yes, it is here, Emperor Frederick the Great said, although Guam is close to the center of the Pacific Ocean, I found from the camp logs of Donghuang and Chongying that the erosion level there is not high, and it is basically at erosion level 4. Level C areas and erosion level 5 C areas. However, it is very close to the erosion level 6 and erosion level 7 waters, which is very suitable for the development of our fleet. But what about supplies? It's far away from Donghuang, Chongqing, and Pan-Asian countries. Petroleum supplies, food supplies, etc. are all problems, Qin Ji said sharply. Frederick the Great smiled and said, "Isn't our fleet cooperating with other camps? Although it was said to be cooperation before, it is better to call it surveillance, but if we occupy the position of Guam, then we can turn the cooperation into real cooperation." Qin Ji stood up in confusion, walked to Frederick the Great and asked, "How do you say it?" Guam is located in a dangerous terrain, and it can enter the erosion level 6 waters and the erosion level 7 waters at any time to obtain resources, and these resources are beyond the reach of the other major camps. Although they also have the ability to enter these sea areas to obtain, the long front makes them afraid to act rashly, so they can only rely on the front and occasionally enter to obtain some resources. But we don't have this worry. We don't have to consider the long coastline, and we don't have to consider the popular sentiment of the camp where it is located. We just need to attack and constantly improve ourselves, and these things are just our byproducts. So now we have capital, and we can use this capital to make real transactions with other camps. By then, none of these things will be a problem. Moreover, the Iron Blood Camp and the White Eagle Camp have recently jointly tackled the problem of oil refining. Once the results are achieved, we will not have to worry about oil supply issues outside. Also, my child, have you forgotten the cat? Reminded Frederick the Great. Akashi, Qin Ji was stunned for a moment and said, "Yes, I went to see her grocery store. Her ability is very special. As long as her mark is left, she can reach it instantly," Frederick the Great said, "so we can also trade with her, as long as there are supplies and special materials provided. Don't you think she won't transport a steady stream of things there?" Qin Ji touched his chin and nodded. "Frederick the Great, you reminded me that as long as the cat has a shop, she can appear at any time, and as long as the price is enough, she can sell anything. I even feel that as long as the price is high enough, she can even sell her own." Frederick the Great smiled. "So my son, all your concerns before were irrelevant. The most important thing now is for us to have an invincible fleet. Although we have actually reached this level now, since we want to cooperate with the 9 major camps and lead the direction of this world, we must have strength. And now is our best development period. It can take 1 year or even 2 years to train a large number of ship girls to around full level, and cultivate a group of awakened ship girls. When everything is ready, it's time for us to leave Donghuang and head to Guam." Qin Ji couldn't help but nodded. This plan is indeed feasible, but how can we guarantee that the other commanders of the fleet will follow us there? Haha, Bismarck and Soviet Russia have already done this work. After a while, they will be loyal to our fleet, Frederick the Great said. Qin Ji's face showed a hint of unbearability. "Is this really okay? My child, please remember that when talking about the future, don't be emotional at all, and look at it with absolute rationality. Any mixture of emotions will affect your judgment. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 518. Commander, are you still thinking about what Frederick the Great just said? While patrolling the guard area, Hai Tian looked at Qin Ji, who was in a daze and couldn't help but say. Qin Ji did not turn his head to look at Hai Tian, but nodded gently, facing the distance. "Yes, I know what Frederick the Great said is right, but I must maintain absolute integrity under such a choice. Rationally, I feel like I still can't do it. Most of them came here with me in college and almost have unconditional trust in me. If you really go to Guam in the future, you will definitely be in great danger. Unlike me, they all have their own families. If I adopt the method mentioned by Frederick the Great, I will indeed make them follow me, but I always feel sorry for them. Hai Tian smiled and said, Commander, you are actually thinking too much, maybe your ambition is not big. I heard Zhenhai tell a story before. She said why in ancient times, whenever dynasties changed, so many people joined rebel organizations. Don't they know they are in danger? If you fail, it will be a death penalty, but many people still have no hesitation. Qin Ji shook his head, I don't know, I think maybe they want revenge in their hearts. Hai Tian shook his head, everyone in the world is prosperous, and everyone comes here for fame. When people live in this world, what they pursue is fame and fortune. Although there are many excuses to cover up this behavior, the essence is still the same. Although most of the commanders are very religious, they only participate in order to expel the sirens. But the continuous progress is always driven by the word fame and fortune. This is something that no one can escape, including the commander. So when there is an opportunity before them that can make them stronger than other commanders in the world and more famous than other commanders in the world, do you think they will care about those dangers? What's more, the commander's strength is displayed here, and with you as his backing, what else do they have to worry about and fear? Therefore, Commander, we don't need to worry so much about their affairs. Instead, we only need to do our own affairs well. With the help of our fleet, they will live better than other frontline commanders. Qin Ji looked at Hai Tian in surprise, I didn't expect you to have such a point of view, Hai Tian, and see this so clearly. Hai Tian quickly shook his head and said to Qin Ji with slightly red cheeks, No, Commander. Didn't I tell you just now? Zhenhai told me these. She has studied this point. It's very clear, I'm just borrowing flowers to offer to Buddha. Qin Ji smiled and said, Zhenhai does have a very thorough grasp of human nature. It has been like this several times before. Then I believe in you. To make iron, you must be strong. As long as we build our fleet into a powerful fleet, then don't worry about these things. Well, that's the truth, Hai Tian smiled. Okay, then after we finish patrolling this circle, we will go to the warehouse to take out the materials and Rubik's Cube, and prepare to go to the construction center to summon Qin Ji said. Okay, Commander, Hai Tian smiled, I hope I can summon the Dong Huang sisters this time. Your sister Heike and Zayahi's sister Yingrui, right? I remember it, Qin Ji said with a smile. Thank you, Commander, Hai Tian said. It doesn't matter. Although Hai Tian said this, Qin Ji didn't dare to give her a guarantee because he was not sure whether he could summon these two people. But this time Frederick the Great has given more places, so maybe they can actually be summoned. The two of them walked forward together, but when they passed by the free ship girls' dormitory, Qin Ji was stunned for a moment when he saw the scene in front of him, and then he couldn't help but become funny. Hai Tian on the side was also surprised and said, Hey, North Carolina has such a good relationship with Washington in our fleet. Don't you know, Qin Ji asked strangely, many people in our fleet know this. North Carolina has been coming here frequently since Washington and Zayahi joined our port area. I don't know, because I always read in my room when I have nothing to do. Except for a few people in the fleet who are familiar with each other, the others just meet and say hello, Hai Tian said embarrassedly. Qin Ji smiled and said, I saw you were so talkative when you were with me, and I thought you were the same when you were with other people. Who knew it turned out to be like this? If Zhenhai is a military advisor, then Haitian, you are equivalent to a boudoir, right? Artistic girl, haha. Commander. Hai Tian whispered with a blush, obviously shy. However, the voices of the two people obviously attracted the attention of Washington and North Carolina not far away. They turned their heads and found that it was Qin Ji and Hai Tian, and walked over. Hello, Commander Qin Ji, and Miss Haitian North Carolina said with a smile. Commander Washington raised his hand and said, "And Haitian, are you on patrol?" "Yes, the two of us are patrolling now." Chin Ge smiled and said, "I just saw you two talking." "What were you talking about? Are you so happy?" "I have some questions for North Carolina," Washington said. "That's all said and done now, so let's go together." Chin Ge smiled and said, "Can you ask me a question?" Commander, you don't need to know this," Washington said helplessly. However, Chin Ge did not listen to Washington and instead looked at North Carolina. North Carolina smiled. Actually, before nothing happened, wasn't Washington doing smiling exercises? Now she felt that she had achieved some results, so she wanted to come over and let us see how she was doing, so I gave her some of my own insights, hoping to help her. Chin Ge was stunned, and then looked at Washington. "So that's what happened, so what are you embarrassed about?" "It just took so long to have some effect, so I feel a little embarrassed," Washington said. Chin Ge smiled, "But why not find other people in the fleet instead of coming here to find North Carolina?" Washington opened his mouth, but no words came out. Seeing this scene, Chin Ge learned something. So he turned to North Carolina and said, "North Carolina, the free ship girls led by you have always been a pillar of the port area. But there is one thing I have forgotten to ask you. Do you have the intention to join a fleet led by a commander?" Chin Ge's question made North Carolina stunned for a moment, and even Washington on the side was a little stunned. Can it still be like this? My ship girl, my world. Author, Hwangming Mu. Chapter 519. Soon North Carolina reacted and asked Chin Ge with a smile on his face, "Commander Chin Ge, so you plan to let me join your fleet, and you want to fish for me?" Chin Ge didn't hide anything, and nodded with great confirmation, "Yes, North Carolina, you are a fully trained ship girl, and you are so beautiful and have a very gentle personality. I believe that no commander would refuse this. I'm a ship girl. So it's a very normal thing for me to have this idea. What do you think? But other commanders may have this idea, and I can understand it, but Commander Chin Ge's fleet should have a lot of fully trained ship girls, and there are many awakened ship girls. With the strength of your fleet, you shouldn't care about my training level, right? So is there any other reason for me to join?" asked North Carolina. Chin Ge smiled. If he was still a little unsure before, then at this moment he was somewhat certain. He glanced at Washington next to him, and then said to North Carolina, "Then I said it was because of Washington, do you believe it?" "I believe it." Unexpectedly, North Carolina replied very quickly, "Then, I will join." At this moment, both Washington and Haitian were stunned, but Chin Ge looked as if this was indeed the case. I saw him smiling and extending his hand to North Carolina. "Well, North Carolina, welcome to join my fleet. Are you really worthy of being Commander Chin Ge?" "It's so straightforward that I can't even react," North Carolina said with a smile, but her hand held Chin Ge's hand. So as the two looked at each other, a burst of blue light spread from the hands held by the two, and in an instant, they were enveloped in it, and then slowly disappeared. Not long after, the two opened their eyes at the same time, and when they looked at each other again, their eyes were filled with smiles. Although we have seen each other often before, the necessary rituals are still indispensable. My name is Chin Ge, and I will be your commander from today on. I hope I can give you more advice in the future," Chin Ge said. North Carolina smiled and said, "North Carolina, I'm at your disposal." Although she lacks personality compared to other sisters, as the saying goes, having no personality is still a kind of personality. Haha, in short, please give me some advice. The two looked at each other and then let go, but Washington on the other side finally reacted and quickly said to North Carolina, "So now that you have joined our fleet, I have to call you sister." Era, doesn't Washington like it? North Carolina said to Washington. Your identity has changed so fast that I can't even react, Washington said angrily, then turned to Chin-Ge aside, and you, Commander, are you too hasty? Chin-Ge looked at Washington, reckless. How could this be hasty? How long have we been here? How long have we been cooperating with North Carolina? We have known each other for more than a year, so after having this opportunity, everything fell into place, and I don't think there was anything hasty about it. I'm so annoying. I don't care about you anymore. Just do whatever you want. I'm going back to the fleet dormitory first. Washington was paused by Chin-Ge's words, then complained, and then walked towards the fleet. This, haha. Chin-Ge looked at Washington's running figure and couldn't help but smile silently. Commander, do you think Washington like this is a little cute? North Carolina said with a smile. Chin-Ge nodded. She is usually a bit concerned about face, but she is much better now. At least she takes the initiative to come to you, instead of you not taking the initiative to find her. Yes, North Carolina said with a smile, but the sudden change in relationship made her really, haha. Isn't this great? In the future, you sisters can fight together. Although we fought together before, we are closer now, aren't we? Chin-Ge said. Yes, then assign orders to me, Commander. North Carolina said. An order, Chin-Ge thought for a while. You should be responsible for management, free ship girl. After all, you are very familiar with them. Okay, this can be said to be my old profession. I will work hard to complete it. North Carolina smiled. In addition, there are several people among the free ship girls who want to conclude a contract with the commander. I don't know if the commander is willing. How about fishing for them? Really? Why didn't they show it before? Chin-Ge asked doubtfully. I must have had concerns before. What if they go to the commander and the commander rejects them? In this case, it will be difficult to stay in the station. Moreover, they are also girls, so it is normal for them to be a little shy. Now I am the commander's ship girl, and as the leader of the free ship girls, I can make this request to the commander. North Carolina said with a smile. Can you tell me who they are? You know, because each commander's fleet is only allowed to have one ship girl with the same name, so it is impossible for me to make a contract with the same name. Chin-Ge said. We all know it, North Carolina said. Now there are Kimberly, Irwin, Chicago, Houston, York, West Virginia, Tennessee, Berg, and others who have this idea. Are there so many people? Chin-Ge asked in surprise. Does the commander find it difficult? North Carolina asked. No, it's just a bit surprising that so many people want to join the fleet. Chin-Ge said with a smile. Then what is it? Okay. If possible, I will call them right away. If the commander has no such plan for the time being, then I can inform them and ask them to wait. It has been such a long time anyway, and I don't mind waiting for a while. North Carolina said. Chin-Ge shook his head. It's okay, you can go and call them. It just so happens that I am going to summon another group of ship girls today. You also know that our fleet is currently undergoing reform, so we need more manpower. I was with Hai Tian just now talking about this matter. With them, I can summon less people. I know about this, but can I ask the commander how many ship girls are planned to be summoned this time? North Carolina asked. According to the plan, the more the better. There is no specific number, but a rough estimate should be more than 100. Chin-Ge said. This is just because of the station. If the station we are in is larger, then it's possible more will be summoned. So that's it. North Carolina smiled. It seems that the commander has planned a very big goal. Yes. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 520. Because the ship girls who were going to join their fleet were not here, North Carolina needed to call them over. So when Qin entered the Liberty Ship Girls' dormitory in North Carolina, he asked Hai Tian next to him to call Enterprise over. This time, most of the ship girls who are preparing to join the fleet are from the White Eagle camp, so they are familiar with calling the company over, and the company can also place them there. Haitian's work efficiency was still very high. After a while, she and the company came downstairs to free Ship Girl. Commander Enterprise greeted Qin as soon as he arrived. "Well, Enterprise, did Haitian tell you the reason why I asked you to come?" Qin asked. "I've said it before, but I didn't expect that there would be so many people among the free ship girls willing to join our fleet," Enterprise said with a smile. Qin smiled and said, "I didn't expect that. I only found out about it after signing the contract with North Carolina this time. It happened that Frederick the Great said that this period of time is more suitable for development to increase the number of people in our fleet as much as possible, so I am planning to include them in our fleet. Indeed, Frederick the Great has discussed this matter with us before. Although we do have enough manpower now, when we fully deploy it later, there will be a shortage of manpower. Therefore, it is better to make some preparations early, not to mention that if there are more people, our current consumption can be affordable, and this can also be regarded as an increase in the strength of our fleet," the company said. "Actually, I'm worried that if I summon more ship girls, it will attract the intervention of the 9 major camps," Qin said to the company. "When I was talking to Frederick the Great before, I didn't think of this. A little bit, but I only remembered this when I came over and walked through the place where the 9 major camps are." The company nodded. In fact, Frederick the Great had discussed this with us before. But considering the speed at which commanders have summoned ship girls in recent years and the speed at which our fleet's strength has grown, as long as they don't mention it, they can cover it up. What's more, even if they mention it, there is no need to worry. Because no one will have too many disputes at this point in time. The most likely thing is just some indifferent protests. In addition, we already have envoys from several camps here. They have learned along the way that the commander has been very restrained in what he has done. Now they can understand that ship girls are being summoned in large numbers. Moreover, Frederick the Great has begun to communicate with envoys from several other camps in the past 2 days. I believe this issue will not cause much reaction." Qin couldn't help but click his tongue. "Suddenly I feel like I am useless compared to Frederick the Great. All these things were planned by her. I never thought about these things before." Enterprise shook his head. "Commander, you must not underestimate yourself. Your existence is the guarantee of the existence of our fleet, and the fact that our fleet has reached this point is proof of your hard work along the way. And in terms of tactics and large area arrangements, you are still the best. So everyone has their strengths, and everyone has their shortcomings. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Besides, you should be happy with the current situation of the fleet. Because our fleet is growing at a very fast speed, I believe that in the not too distant future, we will be able to have real face-to-face communication with the Siren and explore the truth of everything. Isn't that what a commander's dream is? Let us strive for that goal together." Qin was silent for a moment, then nodded and said with a smile, "You're right, maybe it's because I've been busy for so long and suddenly became free, so I feel a little uncomfortable. But I will adjust my mentality immediately and become a qualified commander." "Well, this is my commander," Enterprise smiled. "Keep moving forward." Qin smiled and nodded. Yes, he shouldn't worry about gains and losses. There have been too many changes in the past 2 days, including the reform of the fleet, the determination of frontline destinations, and preparations for the summoning of new ship girls, etc. But problems also come one by one. One is the problem of the adaptation of the ship girl caused by the new reform, and the problem of the adaptation of other commanders of the large fleet, as well as the other commanders of the large fleet following them to dangerous sea areas. Problems, as well as the problem of overexpanding one's own fleet, causing tension among the 9 major camps. Sometimes we already have answers to these questions, but we still can't help but worry about them. Just like what Frederick the Great said, one's own thinking has limitations. Perhaps he should try to believe in them and believe that they can create the future of this fleet with him. At this time, North Carolina also walked out of the Free Ship Girl building, followed by several ship girls, and some were even ship girls that North Carolina had not mentioned just now. Commander, basically everyone from the Free Ship Girl who has invited us to join our fleet is here, North Carolina said. Hello, Commander Chin Ge. Everyone also greeted Chin Ge. Chin Ge saw this scene, responded with a smile, and then asked North Carolina, why are there more people? When I went up to call before, they all heard that you wanted to make a contract, Commander, so some people who had not expressed their opinions before also wanted to make a contract with you, Commander. And this still counts as eliminating some of the ship girls that the Commander's fleet originally had, otherwise there would be even more. North Carolina said. Chin Ge couldn't help being stunned, and then said to everyone, hello everyone, I am very happy to see everyone here, and I am also a lot surprised. Because I didn't expect that there would be so many people among the free ship girls in our station who wanted to join my fleet. However, you have all been free ship girls before, but you have also worked with ship girls who have commanders. So you should know what it means to join the fleet. So I hope you will think carefully. Once you join my fleet, the subsequent battles will be very cruel and more frequent. You are not as free as you are now as a free ship girl. But if you are determined to join my fleet, then I can also guarantee you that every one of you who joins my fleet will enjoy the same rights as the ship girls I summoned. I believe you should also meet Guanghui. However, she used to be a free ship girl. Commander Chin Ge, please don't doubt our determination. We have already made up our minds when we made this decision, so when will we start the contract, said one of the free ship girls. Chin Ge smiled and said, if possible, we can start the contract now. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 521. The contract process went very smoothly, and the 20 ship girls who came down have all been contracted by Chin Ge. But there are gains and losses. As a price, the number of free ship girls stationed at the station has been reduced by at least 1/3. It seems that it is necessary for us to publish a recruitment message in the maritime safety bureaus everywhere. The number of free ship girls in our station must be replenished. Looking at the ship girls taken away by the company and North Carolina, Chin Ge said to Hai Tian. Haha, this is true. I will get in touch with WASP from the Maritime Safety Administration later, Hai Tian said to Chin Ge. But the commander is really awesome. He has already completed almost 1/5 of the mission before going to the construction room. Chin Ge couldn't help but smile. Then after we patrol the guard area, let's complete the remaining 4/5. Yes, Commander. The two left the free ship girls building while chatting and laughing. How the free ship girl should develop in the future will be discussed after the backup free ship girl arrives. But what is certain is that North Carolina, as the leader of the free ship girls before, will also be responsible for this matter in the future. Later, the two of them soon completed patrolling the port area. Just when Brother Chin was about to go to the warehouse with Haitian, he found that Belfast was already waiting in front of the office building. Guian, my master, and Miss Haitian, Belfast said with a maid salute to the two of them. Belfast, what are you doing here? Chin Ge asked Belfast. Is the master planning to go to the warehouse to collect supplies and then go to the construction room to start construction? Belfast asked. Well, indeed, but how did you know? Chin Ge asked strangely. Because I met her when I came back from the Enterprise, and she told me about this. So I felt that the master would definitely go get the supplies, so I brought the mental cube, supplies, and rapid construction tools to the master, so that the master would not need to make another trip. Belfast said with a gentle smile. Chin-Ge blinked and said speechlessly, I think if you do everything just like me, I will train you to be a useless person in a short time. How could the master become a useless person? You have to know that you have to do these things for the master in advance, but it is the responsibility of a maid. Belfast smiled. Chin-Ge smiled and said, well, if you become a useless person, then you can become a useless person, as long as you are happy. Next, let's go to the construction room together. There may be a lot of people summoned this time. If possible, Hai Tian can ask someone from each camp to come and greet the other ship girls in their camp. Yes, Commander, Hai Tian responded. Next, Chin-Ge and Belfast quickly came to the construction room. As before, they placed all the mental cubes, supplies and rapid construction tools next to the builder. And just as Chin-Ge and Belfast were preparing, Hai Tian also came here with people from other camps. Chin-Ge smiled at them and said, Ha, I said that just anyone from each camp can come, but I didn't expect you all to come. Actually, just like the commander, we don't have much to do after arranging the work. What's more, as candidates to welcome other new ship girls, aren't we just the right ones? Veneto said with a smile. Ah, are you okay? Chin-Ge was surprised, but every time I see you, you all look very busy. Of course, because we only show up in front of Comrade Commander when we have something to do. Normally, we'll be fine after we finish our work, and we'll go back to the ship's dormitory when nothing happens. Comrade Commander naturally won't be able to see us, Soviet Rosia said. Chin-Ge opened his mouth and said with a smile, why do you suddenly feel so much more balanced? Haha, does the commander think that we are always working? The company on the side said with a smile. Chin-Ge said awkwardly, it is indeed like this. Frederick the Great's internal affairs arrangements are very reasonable, so commanders don't need to think too much and just do their job every day, Bismarck said. Okay, if that's the case, then I'll start summoning now. Chin-Ge, who knew everything, suddenly felt relaxed and said to everyone with a smile. Yes, Commander. Following the ship girl's reply, Chin-Ge walked to the side of the builder. Picking up 2 mental cubes and 1,500 units of supplies from the ground, Chin-Ge put them into the builder. Let's test the waters with a heavy ship first. After he started the builder made a rumbling sound, and then began to vibrate violently. So at this time, Chin-Ge placed her eyes on the builder's screen, waiting for the construction time to appear. But this time, until the builders died down, that build time never came. Failed, everyone looked at Chin-Ge in surprise, and Chin-Ge also scratched his head in confusion. When was the last time your construction failed? It should be when the Bismarck was built. How many years has it been now? Commander, will the construction fail again? The company asked in surprise. Of course, the commander failed twice when building me and Bismarck before, Veneto said. So there is such a thing, the company suddenly realized. But at that time, the commander would build a camp flagship every time he failed. Maybe this time he will build a camp flagship like before. Veneto laughed. Chin-Ge couldn't help but smile after hearing this. He then picked up 2 mental cubes and 1,500 units of supplies from his feet, placed them in the builder, and pressed the start button again. But this time, under everyone's gaze, when the builder stopped running, there was still no time appearing on the builder's screen. Did something happen today? Why did it fail the second time? Chin-Ge said in surprise. I don't know. Everyone shook their heads. Otherwise, Commander, let's try again. Maybe there is something unknown waiting for us later, Veneto said. Chin-Ge nodded, then picked up the mental cube and materials, put them into the builder, and pressed the start button. Then, the builder began to work, and this time the shaking was even greater. At this time, Qin and others' hearts were raised tightly as they looked at the screen on the builder. Hopefully a time will come up this time instead of failing like before. Perhaps such expectations and prayers really have an effect. As the builder slowly stopped, a moment of time appeared on the screen of the builder. 6:30:00. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 522. Isn't this time a bit too long? Qin looked at the time on the builder screen and said with some surprise. Because the longest construction time for a ship girl currently in the world is the Soviet Union class, which takes a total of 6 hours and 23 minutes. But the time in front of me obviously exceeded 6 hours and 23 minutes and reached 6 hours and 30 minutes. It was just a time that had never appeared in this world. I don't know. This is the first time I have seen such a long time, Bismarck said, looking at the construction time. It actually took longer to build than our Soviet Union class. It's really surprising, but I believe it must be a very powerful battleship girl. After all, there are no other ship types except battleships at this time. Soviet Rosia smiled. Road. Do you think this ship girl might become a maritime legend? Veneto looked at the time that went back 1 minute and 1 second and said unexpectedly. It's possible. Nagato nodded. Even though the mind cube has not been opened, I can feel that there is a very powerful soul in it. Qin listened to the discussion among the ladies on his ship, and then smiled and said, whether she is a legend of the sea or not, if we summon her, don't we know everything? So Qin bent down, picked up a quick construction tool from under his feet, put it into the groove of the builder, and then pressed the start button. I saw the builder vibrating for a moment. Along with the vibration of the builder, the time on the builder screen also decreased rapidly, and was quickly cleared almost in an instant. Immediately afterwards, the vibration of the builder gradually stopped, and then the hatch of the builder gradually opened, and a colorful function was revealed along with smoke. And that colorful light soared into the sky. Even the roof of the construction room seemed unable to block this colorful light. This colorful light rising into the sky could be seen even in the distance of the port area. It was exactly the same as when Frederick the Great and Shinano appeared before. For a moment, all the ship girls in the port area stopped what they were doing and looked towards the construction room not far away. It happened again. When did the legend of the sea become so worthless? Ganget said with some surprise. I found that after arriving at Commander Qin fleet, our knowledge will basically be refreshed every once in a while. Mercury Memorial said, it hasn't been that long since the last time we summoned the legend of the sea, right? Who says it's not the case? He already has 3 legendary ship girls in his fleet now, and it's only been a few years. So what kind of ship girls will be produced in his fleet in a few years? Really? Surprising, said Ganget. The strength is expanding rapidly, and there is a strong ship girl like Frederick the Great, and the fleet reform based on her ideas has begun. It is difficult to imagine what Commander Qin fleet will achieve in the future. Mercury Memorial said, looking at the colorful light rising into the sky. Do you think they might eventually threaten our Northern Alliance? Ganget asked. I don't know, no one dares to make this decision now. Mercury Memorial said, it seems that the Soviet Union still underestimates Commander Qin. They think that Commander Qin's fleet will grow to a level similar to that of other camps. He was already quite old at that time, so even if he had the intention, he would not be able to start another conquest. But judging from the current situation, that time may not be far away from now. Ship girls are constantly awakening, and powerful ship girls are constantly joining his fleet, and the number of his fleets is also increasing. There will always be a day when he can compete with the 9 major camps. Yeah, we still underestimate them too much. At this time, a voice appeared next to Ganget and Mercury Memorial. The two turned around to look, only to find that it was Scharnhorst from the Iron-Blooded camp and Hau from the Royal camp. No, I have never underestimated them. From the moment the monarch appeared, I have never underestimated Commander Qin Ji's fleet. But what I didn't expect was that they would reach such a level in such a short period of time. Height, Hao said. Third place, not far away, Zara and Dragoon also came over. The station has been a lot more active recently. Do you have any feedback? Hearing Zara's question, the other camps shook their heads. I have told my sister George V what happened here, but the order they gave me is to wait and see what happens. As long as it does not threaten the existence of Azalane, you can let it go, Hao said. The same goes for us, but this should be the best form. No one dares to mess with this formation now. The strength of Commander Qin Ji's fleet has now become so complete that it cannot be dealt with by one camp. If the 9 major camps take action at the same time, it will cause even worse results, and this is the only way to do it for the sake of the overall situation, Mercury Memorial said. What will happen in the future? Asked the Dragoon. What is certain is that as long as Commander Qin Ji's policy does not change, we will always be in a relatively peaceful state, Hao said. I hope it's like this. Just as the special envoys of the major camps expressed their views on the future, the smoke gradually dissipated in the construction room, and the colorful light rising into the sky gradually disappeared, and a figure appeared in front of everyone. She has long light purple hair, which is divided into 2 bunches on both sides of her body. She is wearing a navy uniform with a white and blue wide navy cloak style. What is striking is the logo on her head that is the same as a hairpin, exuding a metallic luster, just like the antenna Qin Ji had seen on the mecha in another world. And there is a row of words written on the decoration, New Jersey. Seeing this, Qin Ji didn't know who was in front of him. After all, her name was already betrayed on that nameplate. New Jersey, the second ship of the Iowa-class battleship, known as the Black Dragon. And just when Qin Ji left that world, New Jersey was still parked quietly in the museum in Camden Harbor, New Jersey, open to tourists who come here every day. At this moment, New Jersey in front of him also opened his eyes, looked at Qin Ji in front of him and said, White Eagle battleship, the largest and most powerful Black Dragon, New Jersey is here. See my power. Looking at New Jersey, who suddenly said this in a domineering manner in front of him, Qin Ji was slightly stunned. Just when he was about to say something, he saw New Jersey burst into laughter. You're kidding, Commander, do you like this feeling?